And today I just wanted to show you guys a garden update for the beginning of May. I have planted out all of my tomatoes, all of my pepper plants, all of the basils, which are kind of looking a little sad, but we're gonna work them out with a little bit of fertilizer, some comfrey tea possibly. But yeah, I planted out a lot of the tomatoes and the peppers. So I wanted to show you guys a quick garden tour, and then I will also show you my salad greens and how I have not even officially began to harvest them yet, and already my bok choy and the tatsoi are going to seed. So I guess I'll have more flowers out in the garden, but that sucks. So anyway, my kid is about to come and wreak havoc on the garden, so I will show you guys what the garden looks like before he starts pulling things out of it. So anyway, I hope that your gardens are doing well, and I hope that you guys have already planted your tomatoes out as well, because now the fun begins, right? The early morning, late afternoon waterings and the weeding, but it's all good. But all right, I'll show you guys how the garden looks. So let's get started. All right, so this is the elderberry fortress right here. Look at this. And I've pruned so much of this, and it doesn't look like anything. I think there's a possum back here that keeps trying to climb these things and it's breaking it. But look at her. And everywhere you look, there are flower clusters. So we're going to probably have a huge harvest this year. I say probably because even though she may give a huge harvest, the birds and anything else that eats elderberries usually take their full grip. I really should have trimmed that, 'cause I don't know how I'm going to actually get the berries up there. I just might leave those for tribute for the birds, the ones I can't reach. But yeah, she's fully loaded with like little flower buds. So that's really nice. But look back here, it looks like a forest under here. Probably should see if I can find a log and put some like mushrooms back here or something. Would be a great place for mushrooms, just right back there. And then here is the blackberry patch. We have a new stalk this year, this one here. And we also have some little berries forming. Isn't that beautiful? All along the fence line. I just have to figure out a way to protect them this year from the birds and the squirrels, because they got me last year. So, look at these. I just actually noticed that today. Look at that right there. Tons of little strawberries. And then over here in this wilderness, there's a blackberry plant right back there, hidden by this comfrey. We are actually getting some raspberries, well, flowers anywhere coming in, which is wonderful. And then look at this mullein. I think she's actually about to flower. Isn't this beautiful? Look how tall this thing is. I've never actually seen a mullein flower, so I'm really, really excited about it this year. Then we also have our asparagus here, our asparagus bed. And then we do have our persimmon. And I took a tip from James Pigioni and literally used clothespins to actually bend the branches to about a 60 to 90 degree angle on some of these, just to make sure that they do at some point produce fruit and not just leaves. So I bent them just a little bit, and then hopefully when it heals in the corners, it'll give the branch a new angle. And I did this before the leaves actually came on. So if you're gonna do that, do it when the tree wakes up so it's more flexible, but before it actually starts to sprout new leaves and branches. But it does work, because they were all sticking straight up beforehand. And our pole beans have finally sprouted. Not our pole beans, but our bush beans. Oh, look at that. Our fig tree. Here we have our leeks starting to thicken up a little bit. And we have some bolted items that need to come out of the bed, even though they're quite beautiful, but I will be taking those out today. And our salad greens, which I've been harvesting from every other day. And just to note, the rest of the bok choy has already bolted or gone to seed, so they're no longer edible, but the purple bok choy doesn't even look like it's going to seed right now. So that's something I'm gonna take note of next year. Also, the Paris Island lettuce and the Merlot lettuce aren't going to seed either. And I think from my journal, I actually wrote that they did not go to seed until July. So I definitely will be growing these three versions again: the Merlot lettuce, the Paris Island lettuce, and the purple bok choy. So I'll make sure I save seeds from those. A little comfrey here. Here we do have our peppers. So we have some nasturtiums coming in there. I planted some bunching onions just to get rid of some of the ants that was in this bed, and that actually did work, planting the onions and the nasturtiums. I haven't seen them so much in this bed any longer. This is definitely a weed. And some dill here. We do have some cayenne peppers here. We also have a few on the porch. This is some Macaroni reds, some sugar rush reds, and then on the corners of each of these are white bell peppers. And I'm just been pulling the flowers off of these right now because I just planted them in about 2 weeks ago. So they need to fully establish their roots. Can we take a moment to imagine just how beautiful that is? And cayenne peppers. And some heavenly dill here, and some more bunching onions. These are some leftover Macaroni red peppers, and then we have elderberry jungle here for the cuttings, which are actually starting to develop flowers. So it was a good little experiment. I wasn't sure if it'll work, but they look relatively healthy. And then we do have our Thai peppers here, which have a little bit of sunburn, but they look like they're getting better as they become more established. Here we have our blueberry plant, which is actually doing a lot better since we had those cold snaps. And they're starting to get some berries on them, or flowers for berries. Look at that. We might actually have some blueberries this year if I can protect them from the squirrels, because they got me last year. But look at that. So many of them were knocked off when we had that bad weather. It looks like she's starting to recuperate. And this one over here, look at that. Aren't they gorgeous? All right, so within the next section or two, you will hear a lot of sniffling. And the reason for that is because while the weather has been beautiful, it is also very, very clustered with pollen. Like the sky is just white with pollen, like it's snow. And that just kind of sets off a lot of my allergies, which Zyrtec and Benadryl do not clear. So I do apologize for the sniffling in the video. I have tried to keep it at a minimum, but there's just no getting around it when like everything is coated in pollen. So I do apologize for that. But when this gets cut down, these will take over. And then all of our peppers and tomatoes have also been planted out. So we have some comfrey, some borage, and a Sartre Rosoli tomato, which my friend gave me. It's going to be a beautiful tomato. This one, and an orange icicle tomato here. And we have a San Marzano, or another little San Marzano. Beautiful Cherokee purple here. I actually had to take a flower off of her a few days ago. Some nasturtiums are planted in between these. We have an Abe Lincoln. We have a bunch of different types of basils and dills planted in between those, and calendula just to deter some of the insects. Another Abe Lincoln here. Some mugwort actually does, I read it enhances the taste of tomatoes, and it also repels the hornworm. That's a mystery tomato. I'm not exactly sure what I planted there. Here's some asparagus. Look at these babies. Aren't they beautiful? Calendula. That's an Italian heirloom. A blueberry cherry tomato here. Some borage and a sun sugar cherry there, which actually has the same type of chemical damage here. So I'm hoping that bounces back. I think these might actually be onions instead of bunching onions, but I've been harvesting them like bunching onions. A beautiful purple kale here. We have some zinnias that are coming back, some yarrow, which is about to flower. Look at those nasturtiums. We have some tiny cinnamon basil coming in. Oh, look at this. The flowers from the onions, bunching onions from last year. We have some chives that I started from seed. Calendula, Cherokee purple, and the sun sugar cherry. And then some rosemary. Those I do believe are patty pan squash that I saved the seeds from, and that was an experiment. I wanted to see if the seeds were actually viable, and I guess they are. A dinosaur kale. I have a little asparagus there. And then planted in here we have some bell peppers. So some green bell pepper that the slugs have kind of been getting at, but they look to be bouncing back. We have some calendula in here, some peas, nasturtiums, some marigolds, and then we also have a couple of squash seeds in here as well. So this will be a fully loaded bed, and it's also in the shade, which is the reason why I put peppers here. And we also have some echinacea here as well, and some bunching onions. And then in this bed, I'm actually planting primarily okra and some squash, but we do have on the side some zinnias just for the birds and the bees, asparagus. This might actually be an onion, but I'm using it as a bunching onion. I planted onions out here last year, and I don't think that was intentional, but I've just been, when they do sprout up, I just use them as regular, as bunching onions. Because this is a second-year plant. But there's nasturtiums. There are squash coming in now. Look at that. There's dill. And then we do have our first okra coming up, and that must be a purple okra. I forget the name though. I planted Star of David okra out here, and also some type of purple okra. I'll leave the name. And then in this bed we have, I just pulled out a comfrey, but we do have a very healthy comfrey. Some pea plants. We have some Cherokee purple and some Kellogg's breakfast tomatoes here, and the big one there. We also have some pea plants, some basil. We have some bunching onions, zinnia in the corner. This is actually a comfrey. See, it just popped up. It needs to come out. And I need to weed in the back. Very healthy pea plant there. And we have a couple of squash plants coming up and some toasty hanging on for dear life. And then in this bed we do have echinacea, which by the way I didn't even show you guys. Look at this. On top of how beautiful the yarrow looks. We have some flowers on our echinacea, as well as a zinnia right there, and this little bed here. And these were seeds that were planted a year ago, so they're just starting to head up. And we have a little winter squash coming in as well. And then in this bed is primarily our cucumbers, but we also have yarrow from last year. We have some type of flower, I can't think of the name right now, from last year. Some calendula, marigolds, bunching onion, another echinacea, some asparagus, some pole beans, some peas planted out here. And then also in here, inside of the toilet paper rolls, I planted, I pre-soaked some cucumber plants, some Armenian cucumbers, a brown cucumber whose name I can't think of, and then Marketplace 76, I believe, in here. And we do have some germination in here. Since this bed is so thickly mulched, I put them inside of toilet paper rolls just to protect them from the mulch itself and the pill bugs, and maybe give them a chance. I've never been super successful with growing cucumbers, so. All right, so I hope that you guys have enjoyed my little garden tour. I am very excited about how green the garden looks now. I was watching some prior videos, and literally just a month ago, everything was just kind of bare and brown. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and you have a great day.